Good morning and welcome to Rising. Robbie, just an absolutely incredible show today. I mean, am I wrong?
The greatest show ever, because Michael Starr Hopkins and Amy Tarkanian are with us to discuss the media's hand in dividing the public on vaccination status. Brenna Joy Gray will join us as well to discuss the voting rights legislation hitting the floor. Plus, Senate candidate from Louisiana, Gary Chambers, discusses his campaign. You will absolutely want to tune in for that.
Yes, you definitely will. Airlines around the world are rushing to change or cancel flights heading into the U.S. over an ongoing dispute about the rollout of 5G near certain airports. Verizon and AT&T said they will still switch to 5G today, but will delay the rollout near airports and runways due to concerns that high-tech radio signals could interfere with aircraft navigation systems. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki addressed the concerns surrounding 5G during a briefing with reporters yesterday. Let's watch.
There are ongoing discussions right now with members of our economic team who are closely engaged with at the FAA, FCC, wireless carriers, airlines, and aviation equipment manufacturers to reach a solution. As you noted, tomorrow is the deadline. Our objective is, of course, to reach a solution around 5G deployment that maintains the highest level of safety while minimizing disruptions to passenger travel.
I have to admit that 5G is one of the conspiracies that I have not kind of gone down the rabbit hole on. Have you ever looked into that one?
No.
All right, so let's skip that. It's something a lot of people are worked up about.
My only thing is that I don't believe. Is this like when the flight attendant tells you you have to, put your cell phone
on
into airplane mode because it could crash the plane? I'm like, I don't believe that. I
have forgotten to do it.
I never do. I never ever
Don't fly
do.
with Robbie.
I just pretend, and our plane stays airborne.
Airlines around the world, airports around the world, have figured out ways that they can interact, that they can continue to do their business while 5G is up and running. The FAA apparently has not figured out yet how to make it compatible. So it seems like it's a kind of bureaucratic and corporate problem. There is something about the 5G technology that can apparently interfere with the airline communications. But it's something that they could have fixed. It's just that in America, we just don't fix things.
Did you hear as a kid, if you point like one of those laser light things,
you could knock a plane out of the sky?
You would just, because you would blind the pilot and it would crash. Is that true, though?
I mean, you certainly wouldn't, if you're a pilot, you wouldn't want to get hit with a laser in the eye. I would say that.
It's mostly autopilot, isn't it? How much work are they actually doing?
I mean, if it's on autopilot,
I guess in my DMs now.
If it's on autopilot, you could probably hit the pilot right in the eye.
Yeah.
But then it would be hard to land it.
We're hardworking Americans, Robbie. I'm gonna get in trouble for this.
They very much are. Actually.
Are they?
Oh, I mean, yes. Because they're constantly traveling from Columbus to Atlanta.
I know they're always exhausted. They're always tired.
And they can't really. They're not supposed to fall asleep.
Yeah.
I can fall asleep here, and nobody's going to die.
Right. They can't drink on the plane, so
they cannot
fate
drink
worse
on
than
the
death.
plane.
The government website to order free COVID tests is up and running. Yesterday, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki announced the site was in a testing phase before officially launching today. 700,000 people were on the website at one point Tuesday afternoon, but Psaki warned that bugs could still occur once the website launches, as it's in the early rollout stages. The website will work with the U.S. Postal Service to deliver up to 4 rapid tests per household. 4 whole tests. The USPS has officially begun taking orders for the tests, and the White House says it will prioritize shipment to Americans with zip codes that have high rates of COVID cases and deaths. Data from Johns Hopkins shows that at least 20% of Americans have been sick with COVID, though the number could be higher due to asymptomatic cases. I assume it is. So I went on the website yesterday just to try it out, order some tests, and I put in my address, and it said, sorry, we can only ship do this once per household. So I assume my wife had already gone in and done it. Or, and actually I didn't ask her, I should have asked her, or is it my whole apartment building? So that would be a.
I heard from a bunch of people who live in big apartment buildings who successfully were able to order. Okay. But then I also heard from people who were in apartment buildings who were not able to order. But it could, yes. It
Well,
also,
and then I put in the office number, and it said, "Oh, this is not a residential property."
Oh,
so you
look at the
can't,
government!
Yeah,
Wow.
they know. They can tell a residential property from a commercial property. So that's they've already cleared the Obamacare website threshold.
It
right?
didn't crash.
It didn't
Yes.
totally crash.
It didn't go down. Right. It is a model of smoothness for a government website.
So far.
Yeah. Right. Now, some people aren't being able to get through, but it is quite simple. Address, boom,
Yeah.
send the test. And I like this idea because it then puts the onus on the community to then distribute the rest of them. So it's true that it's only 4, but now in your building, every single unit will have 4, and most people won't need them. And so if you need tests, now you can just ask your neighbor. There used to be an idea in the United States that you can talk to your neighbor and get,
you want to
and,
do
like,
this? Can I
asking from
borrow?
them, can I borrow a test? You can have
cup
it back.
of sugar or
Yes.
whatever sugar comes in. I don't know.
I mean, as a libertarian, that's kind of like
Community.
That's the only
Community
like,
is the C word, right?
That's the only thing that doesn't turn it into just a dystopian,
Right.
like corporate, like
No, I
militarized.
I agree with
Right.
that. I feel like there had to be some better way to do this than having the government distribute the tests, since like everybody else can do it more effectively.
Right. I mean, if tests were more available,
Tests just being
that
more
could have-
available.
that
Some
could have
people,
helped.
like you said, will need many more than 4 tests. A lot of people won't need any tests at all, and they're going to arrive. Like you have to have enough forethought at this point to
Right.
get these tests ahead
Right.
of time.
So
because
go
you can't be
get
like,
them.
I'm not feeling well, I need to get it.
Right.
If you're not feeling well and need to get a test,
7 to 11
this
days
is not
is
the
fine.
option for you. At least here, in a lot of the places worst hit by Omicron, these tests are going to be arriving after, as we're on the down. It looks
Right.
like we're on the downslope. I was seeing the case numbers for DC,
Right.
DC, New York being very early to be hit with the wave, and we're looks like we're on the downslope,
Yeah.
which is good.
but I would say get your tests, and then if you don't need them, give them to somebody
Absolutely.
else.
Get your tests. Psaki's 45-minute briefing alongside White House infrastructure advisor Mitch Landrieu comes as the White House looks to rebrand their communications strategy. NBC reports that senior administration officials are working to emphasize spending more time communicating with Americans amid Biden's sinking approval rating. I don't know if a lack of communication is the problem. I think the problem is that the economy sucks and thousands of people are still dying.
There was a funny point that she was making underneath that, which was that she specified that they're going to do less communicating about what they're doing with Congress. They're going to keep those discussions a little bit more private, because it turned out that spending, basically May up until today, telling the public about all of the really popular things that you're going to do, having them followed the next day by a headline that says, actually, you're not going to do them because of the filibuster and Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, that doesn't make people very happy. So it's, in some ways, what they're saying is, instead of trying to get these things done, we're just going to stop promising publicly that we're going to do them, because that didn't work out well when we didn't actually deliver on them.
Well, maybe that's a good strategy for them then.
If they weren't going to do anything, they shouldn't have made the promises to begin with, because they weren't elected on the promise of the Build Back Better Act. They were elected because they weren't Bernie in the primary. Obama, Clyburn, everybody rallied behind Biden because he wasn't Bernie, and then they won the general because they weren't Trump.
Yeah.
Never once in there do you see some positive agenda, like, vote for me and I will do X. I think it was great that they tried. Good for them. I'm glad they tried. But if they weren't going to get it done, then they would be better off just doing this nothing.
Well,
you will get nothing and you will like it.
I think Biden mostly ran on not much of anything. On a promise not to be that life will be a little more normal and less stressful. Things have been bad. The last few years were awful. Politically, the environment was awful, and now the world is literally awful, and we're going to get past that. They didn't really accomplish that.
Right, and it's similar to how Obama promised that he was going to overcome politics and he was going to bring Washington together. And what that does is it empowers the opposition to break your promise for you. Because if McConnell then refuses to work with Obama, then Obama didn't deliver on his promise to work with McConnell. Isn't that neat how that works out? And so here Biden is again. He's going to bring things back to normal, and all the other side has to do is like not be normal, and all the virus has to do is create a couple more variants, and here we are.
I think
not
if there
normal.
was anyone who could have done it, it would have been Biden, but he didn't.
Yeah, and he needed Alpha to be the last strain,
He did.
and that didn't happen.
Nope.
And he needed Joe Manchin to just vote with Democrats and Kirsten Sinema.
Yeah, right. It's a lot. It was too much
Yeah.
for them to swallow. So this is so
Yeah.
you get nothing, and when you put it all together, you get nothing. You
Yep.
got infrastructure.
They did infrastructure.
So that's
Yes,
that's something.
they did.
Well, we'll tell you what's on our radars coming up next.